Hello YouTube fans, here again. And I figure why not do this one. I meant to do it last year because it would have been the anniversary. Would have been the anniversary of this TV show. Come out in Australia, very popular when it come out. Nowadays, don't really give a shit about it. They ended it, they brought it back out, they ended it, they was going to end it, they brought it back out that many times, it's unbelievable. But when it first come out, wasn't really that known, but as it went on, became a very popular soap or TV show, or whatever you want to call it. I'll give you a two as it come out in Australia. Neighbours, student, everybody needs the neighbours. I'm probably going to get this now. Peter, of all the things you're going to review, why the hell are you going to review the TV series of fucking Neighbours? Well, simple. When it first came out, it was very popular. Lots of people watched it. These were the days when BBC was worth a shit, even though it was probably aired on Australian TV before we ever got it. I know a lot of history about this. It did used to be a good show. Now, it used to have, if you remember the original logo, and if you can hear me because they've got a little dog. Remember the little dog doesn't go woof, 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 woof. If you hear a dog barking downstairs, it's a little chihuahua, never shuts the fuck up, so I do apologise for that. I was about to say before I heard lap, lap, lap. If you remember a thing that used to look like a diamond and it used to roll around as the opening, that was a very popular logo that Australia had in a lot of soaps. It was used in an episode, a couple of episodes of Piss and Self Buckets. And it was very well known for another Australian soap that come out a lot earlier. That being Sons and Daughters. Sons and Daughters was also a popular soap. I watched a few episodes. I could take it or leave it. It brings memories back to me when I was a kid because my mum used to watch it a lot. And when I used to come home from school, your tiny Sons and Daughters would be on. And so it was a popular soap in the 80s. It ended in the late 80s. That being Sons and Daughters. And it used to have the same logo with a diamond which used to roll up. Well, the same company what did that, for people who know what they're blabbing on about, it's the same company what did Neighbours. So when 1985 was around, that year, they decided to do Neighbours. Neighbours was a lot different than Sons and Daughters. Yeah, you had probably have the same actors and actresses. But with Sons and Daughters, it was more like the rich, the upper class meets the middle class people. So you had the upper class people and the lower class people, Dynamite Ends Meet. You have drama because it was a soap. You had a few actresses who would later appear in Neighbours, who was in the earlier days, would be in Sons and Daughters. So it's like, but that's Australian for you. That's Australia. So it was the same company which did Sons and Daughters did Neighbours. Neighbours on the other hand was a lot more light-hearted. It was like a street where every neighbour knows everyone's business, blah, blah, blah. Now get on with the story. Stop. For people who know the actor Stott, or the character I should say, a lot of people know the actor being Jason Jonathan, who would later go into the music career with Charlie Monroe, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the case. When the character Stott first come out, it was not Jason Jonathan that had the lead. If you ever saw the first ever episode of Neighbours, saw it from the beginning to the middle to the end, you will know it was never Jason Jonathan. We had another actor, I can't remember the name of the actor who originally played Stott, but to me, that's Stott. When he first come out, I might as well name him this, because I just thought it was wooden. Compared to Jason Jonathan and how he played Stott, I just felt the original actor that played Stott was wooden. Nothing disrespectful on the actor. I don't know the reasons why he didn't carry on this Stott as it went on, but for certain reasons he left. We had a story where Stott went missing, everyone was worried about him, and then for some unknown reason you get a new Stott. That's been Jason Jonathan, who stays into it until he leaves. And he marries Charlie Monroe. As I remember right there, Sardine. So, yeah, I mean, you didn't have Mads in it. You didn't get Charlie Monroe into when we had Jason Jonathan. There's pissed me out. I wondered whether it would have rubbed off at the original Stott. The original actor would have paid Stott from the beginning to so on. But before you had Jason Donovan, we had the original stock. And the first story is very simple. You get a nightmare scene with this young lad, and you get to see Sane. I like the character Sane. And he's a deep sea diver. He jumps on diving boards and so on, and swimming. And there's bits of Australia I do actually like the look of. Actually, I like the fact you have a swimming pool outside. You get the idea it's a nice place for the weather, like our country, which at the moment looks miserable. So they look a bit dark today. I put a lamp on just so I don't look dark. So yeah, you've got a nightmare scene. You've got this father who doesn't know whether his son's his real son or not, and he kind of bullies him a bit. He's a bit of a dick with him, but as the series goes on, that alters. And he's more up for Sane. He wants Sane to win all these championships, to be a deep sea diver. You know, them that dive off a pole, not a deep sea diver, but one of them that dumps off boards. And he wants him to win all the champions and so on. But he's a bit of a dick with his other son. And then you've got Jim. How I missed the actor that played Jim. Straight to earth, very nice dad. You've got the little girl who, I can't fit the name of the little girl now, who's the youngest sister. And there's something else I've noticed about Neighbours. You actually had an older sister. And when she left the show, she never ever got mentioned ever again. Never got mentioned. But you do get a big sister. You've got the original one that plays the younger girl. And she's riding for a dog, but as the series goes on, they get a dog. And so on. You've got Paul. Now, Paul, the actor, I actually liked him when it first come out. He looked like an everyday young lad. You can see why he was an art fob in that era. And he just come out as a normal lad before he became a business tycoon and all this. And he's having a bachelor party, and Jim, who's another neighbour, got fucked off. And they've got a stripper who would later be Daphne. I miss Daphne. And again, Daphne, she's pretty. I don't look like that no more, because I remember seeing what the Neighbours, the ex-Neighbours characters look like now. But back in that era, very pretty, down to earth again. And that's what I like. I like every character in this. This is why I was never a lover of the late Neighbours. Never a lover of it. They either got killed off, or they had neighbours or characters I didn't find shit about. In this, everyone from actually alike. And you got the idea there's going to be a love interest between Jim and Daphne. But it does, if you ever saw an early episode of Neighbours, Sane was the first love. And what happens is, Stott falls in love, I think, with this Chinese girl. They've got a family that's very, very strict, and he gets to choose to doing something he should do. I won't say the rest. It begins with the letter S. And it ends like that. It ends with a tiff dangle, which does. They always did that in every episode of Neighbours. And you had to wait into the next episode to find out what's gone on there, which it turned out he's all innocent. But he fell in love with this Chinese girl. The family's all fucking, I don't remember now, they're strict or whatever. And that was the first story of Neighbours. You got Daphne that comes into it as a stripper. You think there's going to be a love interest between her and Jim, but that doesn't really happen until later on. That's it really. What else can I say about Neighbours? It was a soap. It became popular. It would have been the anniversary last year. It came out in 1985. It still went on right through to the late 80s to the 90s. We later get Jason Jonathan play the role of Stott. Then you have Saeed, which later be Ty Monroe. I suppose, you know, their career went into the music business. So that was it. But at first episode of Neighbours, it's there. It just gets better as it goes on. So I'm not really going to do it points. It's an Australian soap. I'm giving a back down of the history, like the diamond logo and so on. I do think it gets better as it goes on. I do like the theme tune. Compared to the Neighbours you later see, I sooner watch the old ones any day. But to them, be smart, be safe. I'm not going to sing the theme to Neighbours. See you later.